love to start at the beginning. I know you were born in Boston.
Yeah.
I know that, the little that I know about hockey, that is a big hockey town, may have been probably the biggest when you were growing up, maybe
Yeah.
that in Minnesota, which my fiance says Minnesota was the number one. Um,
We've always had that battle. It was Massachusetts or Minnesota. Those are the two big states growing up. And we always, obviously, the bias in Massachusetts, but
yeah.
it is the state of hockey in Minnesota. We got to give them that.
Did you always want to be a hockey player?
I didn't. I was actually a better soccer player than I was a hockey player growing up. And unfortunately, back in the 80s, early 80s, soccer was not a big popular sport in the States. We had a little bit of the MLS, where there was a team in New York called the New York Cosmos. Pele played for it. But there was only like 6 or 7 teams in the league. And, the big major soccer didn't start maybe until the 90s. But soccer was my true first love, and then I got much better at hockey, and then it became more as I became a teenager that there were scouts watching me, and I knew that playing a professional hockey was a much more of a realistic opportunity than a pro soccer player.
Right. And so can you tell people a little bit about your career? I mean, right after high school, you went to play for the Blackhawks, right? Can you explain what that was like to get your first phone call to like, what was that like?
Yes, to tell you the truth, scary as hell. I'm 18 years old. I literally finished my junior year of high school. I stayed back when I was a little kid because I had some medical issues when I missed a lot of school in second grade. So I was always 1 year behind everybody else my age. So after my junior year of high school, I just turned 18 in January that year, and I got drafted by the Hawks, eighth overall, as an American high school kid. Now, back in 1988, in the National Hockey League, it was not very common that the National Hockey League would draft American kids, let alone kids out of high school, because they like their Canadian major junior, these kids that grew up on the farms, that had toughness, that were big and strong. And I was 150 pounds, literally soaking wet. I looked like I should be in elementary school, not in high school. So I wasn't the most intimidating looking guy in 1988, but they drafted me eighth overall anyway. And I went through a summer of negotiating a contract that wouldn't go over $95,000 that whole summer. I ended up getting accelerating out of my senior year of high school by taking summer league classes. And then come September, I don't have a place to go. I don't have the Chicago Blackhawks to go to, who drafted me eighth overall because they were offering me such a crap shit contract. And I didn't have a college that I was committed to because I was supposed to be in high school. So I ended up committing and asking Boston College if I can still go there because that's where I did my summer classes. And Chicago Blackhawks camp had started, and here I am going to college when I should be a senior in high school, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I go to my first class at BC, and I learned what a syllabus was 5 minutes in the class. Never heard the word in my life. And I'm telling you, Rachel, this thing was like a book. This
Right.
this syllabus got on my desk, and I literally stood up and walked out of the class. 5 minutes into my class,
No way.
and I called my agent and said, "Let's sign with Chicago. Let's go turn pro." And he's like, "Why are we going to say yes to this contract? We've been saying no to it for 3 months, $95,000." I said, "Listen, my dad makes 85,000. I didn't know what a syllabus was 3 months ago. Sounds good to me. Let's get the hell out of here." And next thing you know, I'm walking in Chicago Blackhawks locker room at 155 pounds. I look like the stick boy. And I run into a guy named Al Secord, who was one of the toughest guys in the league, fighter, one of the most notorious players in Blackhawk history. And he was naked. And let me tell you something. I've never in my life at 18 years old seen a grown man like this naked with muscles everywhere, hair all over him, scars in his face, no teeth, receding hairline. Rachel, the guy looked like he should be in prison,
Oh my.
not in a hockey rink. And I'm walking into this saying, "What did I just do? What kind of decision did I just make?" And I just fought for my life from there on, and it turned out to be a pretty good decision.
Wow. Well, now that you're talking about that, though, I'm curious about your training for something like this because as I've been watching all these videos of you, you are feisty. You had a lot of physical presence,
Yeah.
obviously. So I didn't see any photos or videos of you looking too small and scrawny. So what happened
Um,
there?
I could show you some back from the high school. I literally came out of high school like I didn't lift weights, I didn't work out, I wasn't tough, I wasn't mentally strong in terms of the physicality that you needed to be in the National Hockey League. I wasn't a fighter. I never had a stitch. I didn't have a broken bone up until that point. And when I got there, I was actually not even a very I guess aggressive mentality. But
Huh.
Mike Keenan, who was my first coach there, they call him Iron Mike because he was just a bastard of a coach that wanted everybody to be physical, everybody to fight. They wanted the toughest team in the league. And he literally
Mm.
grabbed me by the throat on the bench and said, if you don't hit people, if you don't fight people, if you don't hurt people, you're never going to play a game for me, screaming in my face. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to use my small frame and just use my speed to start hitting everything in sight and start chopping people and punching people and becoming a pain in the ass? Or am I going to find another thing to do? Because my coach he's literally going to put me in the press box. So I had to make that decision, even though it was scary as hell. But I found that I love to hit, and I hit really hard because I was really fast. And I learned that watching and feeling somebody's head melt into my shoulder was a pretty awesome feeling. So it became part of my repertoire. And I also saw that the fans loved it. Every
Yeah.
time I made a big hit, the fans would stand up and love it. Then I'd score a goal, and they love it. So it kind of became that sort of the three-headed monster that I would create.
Right. It was interesting because that obviously a lot of the videos I watched, it was before they had to wear masks,
Yeah,
correct?
no mask, no mask. I actually went on the mat. The first time I stepped on the ice with the Chicago Blackhawks, I had a half shield on, and my agent and coaches told me to take it off. So I took off the half shield, took out my mouthpiece, and I never wore either of those my entire career. It was just like,
Oh my God.
but you got to overcome your fears. I was scared to death. I swear to God, I was scared to death. How much pain I was going to have to go through, how many teeth I was going to lose, how many times I was going to get hit in the face, punched in the face, the pain, the soreness. But you kind of learn that that's part of the job. I mean,
Right.
and I'd never felt a day without pain from probably from that point on. Still
Oh
today,
my God.
still
Oh
today.
my gosh. Wait, incidentally, how many teeth did you have to have repaired?
Well, I've redone the top five 4 times, and I've done the bottom four 3 times. So total of 10, 11 teeth that have been redone a few times.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, I love
yeah,
it. Jesus.
yeah,
All right. So you played for over 20 seasons in the NHL. Did I get that right?
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
Okay. What do you think defined you most as a player, both on and off the ice?
I think my personality and I think my the way that I approach the game with a lot of vigor, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of hard work. And I wore my heart on my sleeve, both when I was on the ice. I don't think there's not many people who can't say that I didn't give everything on the ice. I mean, I hit everything in sight. I fought, I scored goals, I worked my ass off.
Mm.
You can not too often that you can say that I loafed through a game. And then off the ice, I think I gave people what they wanted. I gave them real opinions. I gave them a kind of a person that was flamboyant, that's not afraid to create a little controversy. I've said a lot of things that probably I shouldn't have said in the past that probably created a mentality or an image of me that I really wasn't, but I had to create an image of myself to allow me to play the way that I did as a smaller player, or at
Mm.
least to hold up to a mentality that I had to keep. So when you say misunderstood, everybody thought maybe I was an egomaniac, an arrogant sort of type of person, but I really wasn't. I was
Mm.
just a guy who just liked to have fun. I liked to tell people what I thought, whether it hurt their feelings or not.